Hi, everyone. Happy Monday. And I'm going to start off by saying that if I sound a little bit off today, my voice is a little bit raspy, or it's not coming over as strong or as coherent as it usually is, I have been sick all weekend, and it has not gotten any better. I'll probably go to the doc in the box sometime today. Upper respiratory, moving towards the lower. And that's why, even though I broke this story on X several days ago, I haven't got around to really making a video on it today. And that is Pam Bondi. Now, I put out a video a couple days ago about my excitement on the potential of having Matt Gaetz as Attorney General. And I was really psyched out for that because, in my opinion, he was the candidate to have as Attorney General. That's what we voted for. We want our government reformed. We want things changed. And that was an awesome pick. But we have rhinos to fight with. I told you that this was going to be a thing, and we were going to have to hold the establishment to account to get things through our government that we want. And unfortunately, Matt Gaetz had to withdraw his consideration for the position of Attorney General. And in his place, Trump put in quite possibly the greatest example of an establishment candidate that we could find. And by establishment candidate, I mean not establishment Republican, or I mean current administration establishment candidate. If you don't believe me, well, let's look at Pam Bondi's track record. She is pro bump stock bans. She, as Attorney General, fought for bump stock bans. She was the Attorney General of Florida. And again, I'm not saying that she is unqualified. I think that being an Attorney General of a state is a great qualification for federal Attorney General. It's just that her track record on the issues that we care about is not great. So let's continue. Prohibition of Second Amendment rights for those who are aged 18 to 20-year-olds. You know, the ones that it's fine to hand a crew-served machine gun in a war zone somewhere when they're fighting for the bottom line of Halliburton or Raytheon, it's fine for them to be armed to the teeth fighting our wars. But when they're here at home, no, they aren't considered an adult. They can go to a war zone and die, but they're not an adult here in the states. Stateside, they cannot have weapons to defend themselves. No, I'm sorry, that is unacceptable. But if that isn't enough for you, remember that whole thing, that clip that's been played of Trump multiple times where it's like, take the guns first, due process second? Yeah, well, meet the architect, Pam Bondi.
I have a couple issues that I'll wait and do I want to talk about them now?
Talk about them.
Later?
You can talk.
Well, one, it addresses some of the things you said. In Florida, it's called the Baker Act, but it's our Civil Commitment Act, and it's weak. And it's about 1,000 pages long, and I've had my Solicitor General on it for 3 days now, working on it. We're rewriting it along with Governor Scott, who's
Good.
You're going to meet with him. He's going to
Good.
give you a ton of good information. We've been rewriting it, and we are going to bring in something called the Gun Violence Restraining Order.
Does that sound familiar to you? I thought so. Let's continue.
So if someone is civilly committed, typically you can hold them for up to 72 hours, but people are getting out within 24 hours, the majority of them. So what we want to do is let law enforcement come in and take the guns.
Good.
They're a danger to themselves
Which you can't
or
do
others.
right now.
Well, because without being adjudicated. So because they're a danger to themselves.
You want them to take the guns and
when they are
not go
committed.
through 6 months of legal trials and everything
Exactly.
else,
But we also have to give the mentally ill the due process in which they deserve, President. So what we're doing is they're going to be able to take the guns when they're taken into custody or into the hospital, and then when they're released within 24 hours or 72 hours later, typically it's 24 hours, but law enforcement will have 72 hours to determine whether they should give those guns back, or they can go to a judge and say, Your Honor, please keep these guns. We feel this person is still a danger to himself or others.
Yes, indeed. Now, if you are concerned about your survival after an encounter with a Pam Bondi Justice Department, or maybe patching up your dog, then you should check out Medical Gear Outfitters. They're my go-to source for all things medical, whether you're needing a bumps and bruises kit or you need legit medical equipment like tourniquets, chest seals, and all the like. They have all that stuff, including kits that are organized for specific applications, whether you need it in a car, whether you're concerned about car accidents, or you're considered about, I don't know, chopping your leg off with a chainsaw or something like that. I don't know. They even have one that is organized into a small pelican case for those of you who are worried about rising floodwaters and things like that. Check them out at Medical Gear Outfitters, and they offer VSO subscribers a discount. You can find all that information over at the affiliates page, and special thanks to Medical Gear Outfitters for making today's video possible. Red flag laws are universally a just terrible idea. Now, to ensure that we preserve context, the conversation that's happening between Bondi and Trump is immediately following a horrific shooting, and when you put their arguments into that context, it sounds entirely reasonable. If you're somebody who's coming into this conversation looking for information and aren't super plugged into the firearms issues, then I understand where you could hear what they're saying and it sounds entirely reasonable. We want to keep these lunatics from shooting up schools, right? That makes sense. However, when you take one step further and understand that since that conversation, the application of these laws has not been used in that context. They have almost universally been used against men who are being screwed with by their significant others. Straight up. He hit me or he did this. I'm not saying that domestic violence does not occur. And those people that beat their wives and wives that beat their husbands absolutely should be prosecuted. However, those people that are found to have falsified that kind of claim should also be prosecuted at the same level. There have been so many documented cases of these laws being misused over the course of the last several years that the concept of a red flag law should absolutely be thrown out. There's got to be another mechanism that we can use to protect our communities than taking somebody's constitutional, God-given, inalienable right enshrined in our Constitution without due process of law. Again, take the guns first, due process later is not something that we should be doing in the United States of America. I'm sorry. It's just antithetical to everything that we stand for as Americans, and there's got to be a different way to do this. Now, to be fair, this was years ago. If Pam Bondi were to come out and say, hey, you know what? We fought for these red flag laws in our state, and it turns out that these laws are consistently abused by the system and used against people that don't deserve to be treated that way. That was a mistake. If she were to come out and say that, then I would be like, all right, cool. If she were to come out and say, hey, you know what? We got tunnel vision on the 18 to 20-year-old thing. We were trying to combat these deranged people from targeting sensitive places in our communities. It turns out that bump stocks are not machine guns, and I was wrong. The thing is, I don't see that happening, okay? This, to my eyes, establishes a pattern of behavior, and that pattern is more of the same bullshit that we've been given by the establishment for the last several decades. And in my opinion, Pam Bondi is a horrible pick, given the established pattern for America in general, but also specifically for Second Amendment rights and advancement. Now, I could tell you that what you got to do is go out there and call your senator and make a whole bunch of noise, and that is what you should do. However, I want to meter expectations here and say that it is my opinion that I think that she gets confirmed. I do. I think that she will get confirmed, and what it then falls to us, the citizens, to do as constituents of our government is to make sure that we hold that government accountable. And that's what I've been saying. Yes, we did put Trump in this position, but we need to make sure that we hold his feet to the fire when it comes to this sort of thing, and our representatives to make sure that they don't do any more of this trashy crap. Because in my opinion, Pam Bondi has already shown us what she will look like as AG. Take it away, Pam.
We're going to make changes, and one other thing we're doing about the reporting, President, which is huge. This is a big issue. We need a clearinghouse, and that's what we've all been discussing. And we have created, and several of my counterparts have done it around the country, but we're the biggest state doing it. It's an app, because kids now are on social media, and there were so many warning signs on Snapchat, on Twitter, on Instagram, and they were posting them, they were sending them, but to all different sources. We're going to have, and we just got it written in our House and Senate budget, it'll cost at least $500,000 a year to fund this. But what it does, kids, and so I met with 10 students, and they loved it, and they said, I'm empowering them. 3 of them are my graphic designers. They're going to design the icons. Some are going to name it. They're helping us with it. But it'll cost probably about $100,000 maximum to develop. That's all in our budget. So what kids can do now, they can automatically send something that says, I'm going to buy a gun, just like Cruz was doing. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. And one of the girls who I met with, one of the students, told me he had been doing this since middle school. He had bullied her, and she reported it. So it will all, they can instantly, and they can do it with anonymity. Put it in this app.
Good.
It'll go in the app, and it'll go to one clearinghouse with state law enforcement in Florida.
So in addition to the National Instant Check System under the FBI, you will have the National Instant Snitch System under Pam Bondi as AG. Anonymous reporting that you are acting suspiciously and should be disarmed at gunpoint without due process of law. I am sorry, you might like her for some other things that she's done, but Pam Bondi is quite possibly the worst Second Amendment choice for highest law enforcement officer in the United States of America. Pam Bondi, and this may piss some of you off, Pam Bondi is only a marginal improvement on Merrick Garland. And therefore, we're going to be pretty busy. Things that we're going to look out for should she get confirmed. We will be watching very closely FBI director and ATF director. Let's go, Brandon. And that's all I got for you guys today. Thanks for tuning in, and hopefully we'll see another one here pretty soon, provided that Pamela doesn't send her goons to come blow down my door.